Hello, procrastinators. Sam here. Today we have yet another discussion video. We haven't done one of these in a while, but there's a lot to talk about, and I just wanted to get my friends on board, have a little bit of a change of pace for this type of thing we want to talk about. And today we got Cybird 101, we got Dave Ace, we got Evan Mardiculous from Tails channel, we got Garrulous64, and we got Shani Classic Knack Fan. Evan, you groaned. Was that not?
No, it was more like, oh, you shouldn't have. Like, you gave me such a long intro. I was kind of almost like blushing a little bit.
Oh my god.
So I just want you to know that I did the sign on with you, just in case you can't.
That's
you
good.
Can't see it. But.
Just know that I did it. Just know that I did do it.
Me too.
Anyways, so there's no structure to this video. We just want to have a conversation with you guys. And Opal does too. Opal's a good girl.
Yeah. She's always in every video.
That's honestly fine. It's like your signature. We want to talk about, just how everything going on in the world, South by Southwest canceling, the future of Sonic, the announcement in 2020, and just our overall thoughts on the series. So that's
Opal,
the plan.
take it away.
That's the plan right now. There's not really any structure, as I mentioned, so just be warned that this could go on for a while. There's going to be a lot of stuttering, but that's okay. Let's get started. The world's on fire right now.
Yeah. You don't say.
It sucks. It just sucks. E3's canceled now. South by Southwest is canceled. Just so many events.
All the movies are delayed.
The movie's delayed.
Is stopped.
The Sonic movie is not in Japan or China still, which are two very big markets. Though the movie did just surpass $300 million, but it's still doing very well. Sequel is definitely on the way, but the fact that, oh man, it's like the movie couldn't have came out at a better time, but it also couldn't have come out on a worse time. It's like, I don't know what to decide with that. It's like, there was no competition for it. It did well, but now the world is on fire and there's no toilet paper.
The world is ending.
Yep.
How much toilet paper do you guys need, people?
I actually have a ton in my kitchen right now because my dad went and bought some.
Yeah.
So we're one of the ones that are more fortunate.
Yeah, actually, to be honest, we actually had a lot before all of this happened. So we're very thankful. We're very thankful. Shani, what does this give? I'm putting that in the video.
Sweet. That's funny.
Great. Awesome.
But yeah, moving away from the world being on fire, Sonic the Hedgehog, that's what's relevant. Now
he's
that
on fire.
Now that South by Southwest canceled, they're gonna push the announcements they want to talk about to April. We have no set date as of the recording yet. We just know April. We don't know what they're doing yet either. I would guess some sort of live stream event, maybe pre-made.
Now as content creators around Sonic, we need filler content. Oh, I know. We'll do a discussion about what we think will happen.
Hell yeah.
Damn, you're really doing them like that.
Wow.
I mean,
wow. I like this idea.
People like this stuff.
No,
like a
I get you. No. I do it too. It's a joke on all of us.
Oh my god, this is the Sam podcast.
Sam podcast.
Oh my god. Because of all the napkins, or not napkins, because of all the tissues running out and everything in the world, and everything's going crazy, my name is now Sam's Club. We are Sam's Club.
Sam's
Club?
We are
Sam's
the
Club.
Sam's Club.
Yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, I just came back from Sam's Club, but they were out of the essentials. Anyways.
You can't keep stocking your own club.
Real.
Look, Sam's Club is great. We have free samples.
Free samples? Can I have some?
No. Anyways, so let's just jump right into the Sonic stuff. Predictions. What is your guys' predictions? Because we were gonna have prediction stuff for South by Southwest, but that's not happening anymore. So.
Well, I think as far as predictions go, I mean, I would be one to assume that they're gonna reveal the next game there, whether it just be a title reveal or gameplay. I don't know, or maybe just a trailer. But one other thing I was thinking of was maybe a potential TV show. Like a new TV show, or
that'd be very
or
cool.
like a new, or I would assume like more animation type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one big thing that I came up with was a new TV show on
Yeah,
would it
it's
be
been-
on Nick? Wait, would it be on Nickelodeon now?
I would
since
say
Paramount-
that it would lean towards Nickelodeon since
Yeah.
Paramount did.
Yeah.
Hopefully they get a better deal with them because Cartoon Network kind of screwed them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Watch them go at
Especially
like
with
Nick at
those
Night now.
those what do you call those again? Like the not timestamps, but there's a term for it,
Time
like
slots.
time slots. There you go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, on Cartoon Network
Really
they
early in the morning, right? And then they shoved it to Boomerang, which is where
Yep.
shows go to
Where
die.
shows die. Yeah.
yeah.
I know Nickelodeon has
Yeah.
an equivalent of that. I just hope they don't do the same. I forgot the name for Nickelodeon.
Is it
Splat?
Nicktoons?
I think it's Nicktoons.
Or Nicktoons? Oh, okay.
Nicktoons is where they have like reruns and
Yeah. Well, that's
All
where
that
the good
stuff.
shows are, but people don't
Well,
watch
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that is a very realistic expectation. I mean, for the past 2 years, we had some sort of animation come out during South by Southwest. We had Sonic Mania Adventures come first, and then last year we had Team Sonic Racing Overdrive. So if we
and
got
fairly
another,
recently we had the
Chow in Space.
Chow in Space. That's right.
Yeah.
Child space. Yeah.
So that is very realistic. I do hope we get something of the sort, whether it be an actual TV show or a small thing made by Tyson Hess and the crew again. Though I will say, I feel like those, the more we get, the more they just tease us to have a real TV show. It's like, oh God, just do the TV show already. Just do the TV show.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us it.
That's
You
the
think
only
they
thing I
have
can
voice
think
acting?
of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say outside of a cartoon, because you also mentioned it, you know, even though South by Southwest was really close, they did not hype up that panel a lot. You know, we really didn't see them advertise it that it was coming. I think we had like one mention of it, and that was it, right?
Yeah.
And then when it got
Yeah.
canceled, they said, "Okay,
I
we're
don't
gonna
really
move."
think. I don't really think they needed to, honestly.
Well, I know they didn't need to, but if they planned on announcing something there, like maybe a teaser, wouldn't you think they'd hype it up a bit more?
They already have
Maybe
attention.
They do.
Well, yeah, they already
attention.
have
Everybody,
they have
everybody was
Sonic movie.
talking about it. Like
Yeah,
everybody
they
was
already,
talking about the panel.
Plus, with it being on March 20th, you know, they started doing that thing where they're like, oh, there's going to be Sonic news every 20th of every month. So March 20th was pretty much the perfect day to do it.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, hyping
Yeah.
something up is actually just like a very easy way to let your audience down. Like you have no idea how they're going to react to what you announce. And so I think Sega played it pretty smart. They announce what they announce at South by Southwest. It's normally one of the biggest announcements of the year, whether it's a game or not. So everybody knows that's where to look already because of the work they've done in previous years. What's good is now they have all the attention, and if they don't hype it up, it doesn't really matter what they end up announcing. We're going to come away relatively calm, and I'm sure that is the work of the wonderful individuals over there at the social team, because I noticed that they're becoming more aware on how fans receive news.
Yeah.
It is way more controlled than it used to be. Holy crap. And they have to be.
Honestly,
Oh, yeah.
speaking of which, yeah, that I feel like that gap, right, where we felt that distance between the fans and Sonic Team, I feel like that gap is really closing. Like I feel like they really are paying attention. They really understand how things work, and they're just kind of rolling with it. Like lately, you can just kind of tell they're way more relaxed. They're not like, you could tell they're not out of the loop of things. They're doing what people like, and they're just in the realm of the fans, and it's great. I will say, I do get what you guys are saying in terms of them not hyping it up. And I guess that's just a fact of them changing how they do things. And I guess it is very smart that now that you guys think about it. I didn't think about it like
Well,
that
they
before.
did. Now that I mention it, or now that you mention it, they did. I wanna argue that they sort of did hype it up, but not in the sense that that it was something big from South by Southwest. I want to say that they fairly recently, they've been using the social media to maybe tease things. Like maybe it doesn't look like it, but they have been posting a lot of adventure type stuff. They had the video that they put up on their YouTube like a couple weeks back where they were talking about there's all this Sonic history and we've been through all these adventures together, but his adventure is just now getting started, or they said something like that.
Yeah, you know what? I think because that video was made, and I think they even admitted it in the description, that video was purely made for new fans that the movie may have introduced Sonic to, and they just wanted to bring him up to speed. And I think the video was only like 3 minutes, so it's like it wasn't
Something
that.
like that, yeah.
It's not that hard.
Yeah,
not that
true.
in depth of a character. But it's not like the story is intertwined.
He's blue.
Yeah, but you know,
He's blue.
But why?
Don't you start with me.
Because you know, we'll go back through the list real quick, but I do want to introduce this theory because we were going to go through like everyone's predictions, obviously, but I want to quickly mention, you know, obviously, you know, get the elephant out of the room. They've been hyping adventure style stuff for a while, right?
Yeah.
And I think everyone in their mind, it's like everyone is expecting an adventure remake, an adventure style thing of some sort. Not saying Adventure 3. I really don't think it's Adventure 3. I really think it's going to be a remake, and if that does well, they'll do Adventure 3. There's something that I actually want to discuss about or the remake, but I think I'll continue that maybe after we go through everyone's predictions. So I think we went through. Evan, did you say your predictions?
I didn't really talk about too much about what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
Because honestly, I don't know. I mean, because when I look at the Sonic social media, I don't necessarily see any kind of pattern suggesting that they're teasing adventure stuff. It just seems like they're teasing what they know people like. So they'll reference Mania and Classic Sonic just as much as they will the Adventure series, because they know that their older consumers will retweet and like that, and kids will like it anyways. So they're trying to grab the older people. So they're using older content. Makes sense. I don't necessarily think they're teasing an adventure remake. I think what makes people think a remake is coming is because of how many other remakes are in existence around the Sonic series, and it just seems so obvious. So it's obviously tricky with Sonic because of all the drama surrounding 3D Sonic. So I have no freaking idea, and every year that I bet that I'm gonna freaking have spicy food or torture myself because I'm wrong, I am literally, honestly, Sonic is always unpredictable. That's why I'm still here when
Honestly,
I'm an adult. I get it. It's weird, but I'm always surprised, and you know.
No, I get it. Like, I actually agree, because I think Sonic, with it being inconsistent, you know, to many is seen as a negative. But in my opinion, I think that is also a pretty big positive, because when you look at other series like Mario, for example, you know, the Mario series is predictable, right? It's usually the same story every time. The gameplay style might be different, but you know,
at its core, it's the same.
When Sonic changes a lot, I think that's why fans like me, even though we get burned a lot of the time, we still stick around because we're so curious on what the next one's gonna be. It's not like everything is a freaking stinker. It's not like, you know, all of them suck, right? I'm not one of those.
Right, yeah, of course.
It's good to be found in everything. I mean, the other thing is we stick around because we're hoping that the next one will have a lot more of that good rather than more of the bad. So it's kind of like we're not mad, we're disappointed. You know, like we want to see what happens next.
Honestly, a good way to describe it is this might make it too abstract for some. No. It's less about us and more about what Sonic's become. And I was about to say, Sonic's become more of a genre than a series. Like, there's no other platformer quite like Sonic, and the rules of Sonic almost they contradict what makes a good platformer, in the sense that you need to move very, very quickly, but in platformers, it is almost essential that the controls are tight. And so moving quickly will almost always be hard to be easy to control, simply based on human reaction time. And so within that contradiction, there's so much beautiful creativity that can happen that that will always be interesting from a gameplay standpoint. Yeah. But then every game completely changes it aesthetically. Like, even Forces, in some ways, like the graphic design, though it's basically Persona ripoff, it was really cool to see a Sonic game kind of implement almost military propaganda, I believe, posters it was based off of a little bit too. Mm-hmm. And the concept art for it, they bring something new to the table every time, and mix that with the gameplay appeal, and it feels like a genre, and like I can casually just kind of always check out what the new Sonic game is doing while I, engage in my other interests. It's kind of hard to pull away from a genre when you've seen it go from series to genre. Like, it's so weird. That's what it's become.
It's kind of like Star Wars. Like, Star Wars isn't just a series. It's almost like people, like, you could be a Star Wars fan and like not even really be into the movies in a way, because Star Wars is everywhere. People get the gist of Star Wars. But like, it's weird because Star Wars, you could argue Star Wars is way different now than what it used to be. People sometimes don't even like the new movies. The prequels were kind of like their own thing, and then we had the originals. It changed like 3 times, and there's different fan bases for Star Wars, and Star Wars in and of itself, I know that's a movie, it's not a video game series.
No, that's a really good comparison.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing. Like, it's a way of life.
And some people like the cartoons more too. Like, some people will go for the cartoons. Some people say they're in the games, or the extended stuff.
I think
it's
novels,
Yeah,
I think it's also interesting too that Sonic, like you said, Sam, like maybe what I find interesting about the Sonic community and just overall Sonic as a character, you don't need to essentially play the games to appreciate Sonic as a character.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is that although people may not play the games, they still may keep up with the character, whether he's in movies or other media, because I think Sonic is just so accessible as a character to people that anyone can pick it up, anyone can enjoy it.
Yeah,
so
because it's very bare bones. Like, Sonic is very simple, and there's always beauty in simplicity. That's what you aim for in design. Always, simplicity is best. Of course, there is depth that you need to explore, but you can't do that with a simplicity at its base. Simplicity at its base in design allows you to play with so many other emotions. Like, for example, Sonic's facial structure being so simple from a character design standpoint makes it so easy. He's basically a living emoji. He's literally an emoji. It communicates the message from so far away, and it's so cool to see a game character, because it was obviously designed to do that, because he was pixels first. So it's just like an emoji. Like, that's not that much of a joke. Like, I'm kind of serious. But now it's on camera and it's going everywhere, and people are realizing, oh, this is good design. This is an accessible design for anybody to just use, and
that's true.
You can do anything with it because there's a simplicity at its base. And so there's so many different iterations of this character that will inevitably exist. And so maybe your Sonic will be the next one. Maybe not, but it's going to keep changing. Yeah. Yes, Lords. Yes.
What's up?
She just asked me, what's for dinner?
Oh. The real question on our minds,
I will ask real quick, Evan. I will ask real quick, because you did talk about, them teasing what the fans like. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to release an adventure remake. I don't know if you quite answered it, but is your prediction an adventure remake?
Based on what is going on around the Sonic series, yes. Though I do not agree that it's being hinted that a Sonic Adventure remake will be coming out. I'm not on that side of the fence.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily being hinted, but like they're not like you said before, because of the climate we're in, and because that there was the Spyro and Crash remake and all that. I would be one to assume that Sega would want to jump on that trend while
and I will
it's still
say,
a thing.
Sega likes trends. Sega likes to jump on trends late.
Yeah.
So, Garrulous, what is your thoughts and your predictions? Because I don't know if we got to your predictions quite yet.
What I'm thinking is, I mean, we heard all this stuff about an adventure remake being rumored, at least.
Yeah.
And while I do agree that it would make some sort of sense, because like Evan was saying, it is, or like Sai was saying, it is kind of like the time of remakes. There's a new remake being shoved down your throat every time you log onto Twitter. I feel like right now it wouldn't be smart to do that, because sure, it's been a while since Forces came out. It's been almost 3 years now. Which means they're working on something, and we know they are. if they were gonna pump something out that was in the same engine as Force, probably wouldn't take quite as long because isn't the whole thing like they only spent like a year on that game, like for real?
Like actual, for the actual production part of the game, it was about a year. If you think about it, when they first teased the game, the CGI trailer, essentially the game wasn't even made yet.
Yeah. So like, what I'm thinking about right now is if they were just making a Forces sequel, they would use the same engine. They might slightly change it. Maybe that's why it's taking a little bit more time. But if that was what they were doing, I would think it would be coming out like around now. And I feel like this new game's not going to come out this year.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not going to come out in 2020.
They're saving that for the 30th.
I believe
easily.
2020 will be used to hype it up, and then it'll have its eventual delay, and then it's going to come out in 2021.
So like, my brain says they're making a sequel to Forces or some kind of sequel to Boost Formula game. Everyone else seems to think it's going to be adventure related. I feel like since it's taking so much time, I've started to kind of come around and think maybe it will be a remake of some kind. That's not really what I want though. Like if you ask me what I think is most likely, I feel like there's going to be a sequel to Force in some capacity, and it's going to be maybe a little bit better.
Oh man.
And
I don't know how the fans would like that. I think Sega, because Sega likes to look at game reviews a lot, and based on how they review, they will just blacklist that game entirely. And I feel like Sega has already blacklisted Forces, because when they talk about Forces, they talk about the mobile game. They renamed.
Well, right?
What is it?
It sold pretty well though, didn't it?
It doesn't matter if it sold well. If it rated bad, Sega will blacklist it, and that's something they've done. And I mean, didn't they rename the mobile port of Forces just Sonic Forces?
Yeah, purely it was Forces Speed Battle, but then they renamed it to just Sonic Forces.
They renamed it to Sonic Forces, and now when they go on their website, you just type in Sonic Forces, and now it's all about the mobile game. It's like they don't want to talk about the console port. They probably don't want to remind people. With
Team Sonic Racing.
And I think Azuka went on record and said they want to do something new.
So then it's probably not going to remake then.
Well, a new in a sense that, and I don't remember how long ago this was. This was a while ago. I think it was 2018 he said this, but not necessarily that he, I think this is the same interview where they talked about wanting to do an adventure remake, or he wanted to remake it eventually. But I think not necessarily he wants to do something new, but something they haven't done in a long time. I feel like, I mean, even if they do an adventure remake, I feel like that's new to them, because there's no way it's the same people.
Yeah,
I think
that worries me.
Yeah, no, it's not the same people.
It's not the same.
And it does
people.
worry me too.
and let's move it over real quick to Davis. What is your predictions?
For future of Sonic, pretty much on the same page as everyone here. If SXSW was still gonna happen, I would have more so probably could have seen a cartoon of some sort get announced. Maybe game tease. You know, probably nothing too big. Maybe like Sai was saying earlier, a title or something. But as of right now, since we're on the topic of adventure being remade, I'm kind of siding with Dylan on this one. I don't think there really needs to be an adventure remake right now. And going forwards with the the whole maybe there's an adventure 3. If they were to do an adventure 3, they'd have to take it back to adventure just to make sure that the team they have right now can actually produce something that would be great for Adventure 3, because I don't think they want to announce Adventure 3 and then let everybody down because it's not the Adventure 3 everybody was.
It's Adventure 3, but with the boost button.
Oh god.
Yeah, that would turn off a lot of.
Go nuclear.
Yeah,
I would go nuclear.
I would go nuclear too. It's not, and I want to put this on the record. I don't hate the boost formula. I just think it overstayed its welcome. I think it was
its course.
I think it was a band-aid after 06. I don't think it was a permanent fix, and I think the team just is drained out with the boost formula, and they just need to spread their wings and just do what they want and actually control Sonic in a 3D space.
All right, counterpoint on that. What would you think if they announced a Sonic Adventure 3 with a ton of playable characters? Sonic plays like he does in the Boost games, but they added like Shadow, and he played like the adventure games. Like, what do you think that they had like multiple styles of gameplay?
Genuinely, okay, I would not like that, and here's the reason why. Shadow and Sonic are supposed to play very similar. They've always played similar in every single game they've been in up to this point. They're essentially the same. They're at a skill level, I imagine them being like neck and neck because they're always bumping heads with each other. I would not like I don't know. I get what you mean. Like that way it would cater to both fans, right? But at the same time, I genuinely think making levels with the boost formula is what drains them of their resources. Imagine creating a hallway for months on end only for Sonic to run through it in the span of 3 seconds.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's not friendly for developers. It's not fun to make, and it probably is really hard to make an engine that works with an adventure style and the boost formula style. Even though we have fans that do it constantly, I don't know I don't know if Sega is able to make characters with different engine playstyles, because last time they did that was Sonic 06, and I think the formula was at its limits because each character had different playstyles, and I think it just overworked them. I don't know. I just have this feeling that, you know, I feel like Sonic Team lately just doesn't have the resources available to them that they used to have. I just don't think their budget is as big as anymore because, you know, as games just go on, you know, they're having trouble, and Lost World and then Forces, I feel like their budget's getting smaller and smaller because they're just not producing games that Sega Sammy or whoever's on the top probably thinks is good for the series that will grow it stronger. But here's the thing though, and I will get to Shanny's predictions in a second, but I wanted to talk about real quick because I brought it up and I don't want to forget it, and I'll forget it if I don't bring it up now. Because of the movie, do you think Sega will give them a bigger budget to make something that'll be
I don't know.
quality?
Yeah, I
think they will for the 30th.
Yeah,
I would hope so.
Yeah, I think they'll eventually
being
do that.
Successful may have made Sega, you know, think, well, hold on, the movie did well. What if we do raise the budget? You know, what could happen?
What if we really do animate Sonic with not just his eyelids?
Well, the great thing about it is they still
right now
have
is a critical time for them, because if the movie does this well, there are going to be a lot more eyes on the series.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So they gotta do something. They gotta put up or shut up, as some might say.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
be surprised
the other-
if I wouldn't be surprised if around the time of the release of the movie. Now, keep in mind, I don't know a thing about game design, but this is like how I'm imagining, like just business wise, it would make sense. But they had some sort of thing they were working on before the movie released. And there's probably a lot of plans on things they could do. And I imagine that there are different contingency plans made if the movie didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
But of course, there's also plans put in place if the movie does well. So depending on the movie's success, yeah, it would directly impact the game that follows it. I imagine that would make sense.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would. I don't think it would impact big things like the level of the ambition of the initial project. So, for example, they would have already had to make the decision that it was going to be adventure style. They couldn't completely change the engine at this point. It would just give them more resources to, say, add more playable characters if they see the movie, well, this movie's success as expected. Jeez.
Yeah.
I was holding it together so well for so long.
Hard work.
You're doing great.
Okay. I'm done.
I will say, well, because I will follow up on that. They did say, I think SXSW, I can't talk. South by Southwest 2019. Was it 2019? I think he announced
so.
like the next major production, they're already working on it, right?
I think that was
They started.
2018.
Was that 2018?
Yeah, when they announced. You remember because they it was when
Team Sonic Racing got announced.
Yeah, it was during the. No, I thought it was during the Team Sonic Racing thing, like right after they showed off
That
the
was in 2018,
customization. I think it was.
customization. Okay, then that was
I think it
2019.
was.
That was 2019.
Yeah, 2019 was the one where he was like, "Oh yeah, we're working on another game."
Yeah.
And then people
that was
screamed, and I'm like,
And people
well, they're a
went,
game company.
Yeah.
But that could have been like they're drawing sketches on a piece of paper. Like,
Yeah,
Working
that
on
could
a
have
set of
been.
playing cards.
Hey. I'll give them that. At least they started. The actual game part. Because the lighting engine's done, god damn it. Anyways, Shanny, what is your predictions for the future of Sonic the Hedgehog?
It'll either be a Venture remake or a new game. I think new game. I think a lot of people, since a lot of people keep wanting to reference that old Izuka article, that when he talked about the direction will be decided by which game does better. I honestly think they would probably go with a new game, with elements of like classic in it, because he was talking about
People are gonna
looking
be
at
mad.
well, no, not in the sense like that. I think people take that stuff at face value and they freak out and go, "Oh, it's another 2D. It's the death of 3D." But when you look at 2D's mechanics with things like stage gimmicks, where if you look at Boost becomes a game where you have boost mechanic and a gimmick, like Boost and a Wisp, Boost and a Werehog, like stuff like that. So I would wonder if they would try to make a new game and go back to and try to make a 3D Sonic in a more traditional sense, where it would be like stage gimmicks, where each stage has its own like gimmick to it. Or maybe they will go back to multiple characters because people really enjoyed playing as Tails and Knuckles. I mean, like, all in all, I mean, it's so weird to think about. But we are in a day and age now where people are complaining about the direction of Sonic, but then there's other people looking backwards and going like, "Well, I want adventure. Mania did really good." So I would wonder if they would try to, if this would be their other way of trying to cater to everybody, where they try to put out a modern game, but then they like kind of backpedal a little bit with other stuff, and they're like, "Oh, it's more traditional." Like they're gonna try to do it, like stage layouts will be more traditional. We got rid of Boost. It's more gimmicky with between stages. Stylized, I think it'll be a little bit more lighthearted. And anything, I think people will have to brace themselves. But I think it's in the vein of, again, it's in the vein of like how Mania looked. Mania was very like bright and colorful.
So you're
Mania had
saying
a
we're
lot of
getting
like
Lost
popping.
World 2?
Heck yeah!
That's what I'm getting at. This Lost World. Now here's the thing.
Brace yourself.
That kind of worries me though, because I'm sick of them experimenting in the games themselves. I feel like if they're gonna have stage gimmicks, if they're gonna have gimmicks with every single stage, which they have done before, so it's really not out of the realm of possibilities of that.
Yeah.
They do it with almost every game.
But that's not experimenting. That would be them going back to Sonic 1, 2, and 3.
Well, Sonic 1, it's understandable that they were experimenting because they want to know what works with the character. In Sonic 2, in Sonic 3...
would be them... That would be essentially being in the vein of Mario, where Mario tries something new, but at its base, it's the same. It's the same game.
But you know what's weird about that? And I do get that, because Mario games can do whatever they want and people won't get mad, right? Mario could be driving a car. Mario could turn into a rocket and shoot up in the sky and people won't question it. But when it's Sonic, people people will be like, how about just have him run? Yeah. It's like, well, you know,
running and jumping. That's it.
You know, why do you think people don't give Sonic that luxury that Mario gets when it comes to that? Do you think that we're just so deprived?
I know exactly why. It's because he changes so many times.
Oh my lord. Wait, hold on.
Actually, hold on. Because I do have a question that I'm actually kind of curious about.
Did I strike a nerve? Hold on, let's start.
No, that is exactly why. It's because there's just been Sonic has been changed so many times. He doesn't have a clear identity with certain people. So I think that's why. It's because, you know, you have the adventure games, then you have, you have the 2D games, then you have the adventure games, then you have the Rush games, then there's Sonic Unleashed, and then, you know, now Lost World, and then Rise of Lyric. Like, there's all these different styles, and Sonic doesn't have one to cling to. And of course, you have fans that prefer this version now. And like, there's all these individual groups of people that prefer the adventure gameplay, the boosts, and so on. And they'll continue to fight over it. And it's like, you know, that's why it's just gotten to the point now where people are like, you know, what is a Sonic? Right? They're like, it's become it's to the point now where people are just, it's just unclear. Like, what is Sonic now? Because there's just so many versions of it.
But one thing that I have noticed is when it comes down to the fact of them trying to give him like a gimmick that defines him, right? Such as speed. They introduced wisps in colors. But now that they keep trying to reintroduce wisps as another gimmick to define the gameplay, people are mad, and I don't understand.
Well, I think it's for a narrative reason why people are mad at the Wisp, because there's no reason for them to be there, right? Like in Lost World, there was zero explanation. In Sonic Forces, there was zero explanation. They in the End of Colors, they went back home. They left. They're not there anymore. You freed them. Why are they still in capsules? Why are they enslaved still? They shouldn't be. But I think that's mainly why. Because I think because they think Sega's thinking about this all wrong. They're like, well, Colors did well, so put the Wisps in. Well, Generations did well, so put Classic Sonic in. I think that's why people don't like them reusing things for no reason, because then it looks like a cash grab.
Yeah.
To the eyes of the fan.
Are we off of the Mario tangent now? Because I had one thing I
No, you could
Mario.
please.
We can keep going.
No. I would love to hear your perspective on this, because I feel like out of everyone in the call, you are huge on both series more than probably anyone in here. So please.
Mario is literally what I grew up on. Sonic was a secondary for me. I mean, these days I tend to play a lot of Sonic. But it's mostly for the channel. Like, I do love the series and everything, but Mario is always going to be my favorite above all else.
Kick him out.
The thing about Mario is, even though there are games in the series some people might say are not quite as good, like in particular, like I don't love Mario Sunshine. I don't love the new Super Mario Brothers games, but even at Mario's worst, that's still a lot higher than Sonic's worst. You know, like
even at his worst, he's still good, or he's still passable.
Like, there's no bad Mario games unless you like. Oh, what about Mario's Time Machine? Like, not stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the core Mario games, even things like more recently, like some of the spin-offs, like got a little bit lackluster. Like, I know a lot of people didn't like some of the newer Mario and Luigi games.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say right now, Paper Mario Sticker Star is actually the one exception, because that game is an offensive pile of garbage. But 99% of the time, Mario's worst is still really, really good. So even if you pick up a game and you're like, wow, you know what, this isn't as good as Mario 64, but I'm still having a ball in time. Like, you pick up Sonic 06 and you're like,
I think the other thing too is Mario has just been so consistent, not only in its gameplay, but when it starts to drop into, you know, other territory, like you said, like the spin-offs, like racing, party games,
they're all
like
good.
they're all good. Yeah, exactly. Like, so even
like
Mario
3 or 4
RPG,
off the top of my head that are really mediocre, but even so, it's still good to play.
Yeah, they even somehow managed to get Mario into the RPG genre of games, and it was still good. It was great, in fact.
Oh god, those are those are the best of the series.
Exactly.
I will say this, because I know people people listening to this might get a little, you know, pissed off from hearing that, but the reality is Sega just doesn't have the resources Nintendo has. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
Nintendo is a huge company. They're still giving out consoles. I'm sure the people that take care of Mario is probably 10 times the size of Sonic Team. So I get, and it's not really an excuse, more so as just a legitimate reason as to maybe why Sonic isn't up to the quality of Mario. It wasn't always like that. I mean, Sonic Team at once was probably just as big as the people that took care of Mario, but you know, it's been 20 years probably since then, you know. So
I don't mean to piss on everyone's porridge or anything, but
what's up?
I don't even think it's worth comparing Mario and Sonic to begin with, because like compared with the fact that I said that
at this point.
Well, hold on. So pair it with the fact that I basically said Sonic is like his own genre at this point because of how experimental it's been.
Yeah.
And there's a consistent thread, and that what is it? The contradiction of fast-moving platformer almost immediately makes Sonic at its core something completely different than Mario is, especially with momentum. So yeah, of course, harder to produce, sure, but I still think Nintendo could probably pull it off, but they have more resources. Anyway, if you lay out all the facts, really, Sega and Nintendo, not comparable. Sonic and Mario as a gameplay concept, not comparable. Sonic and Mario art style wise, not really comparable. Whenever Sonic's art style is shifted to look more like Mario, every Sonic fan collectively groans. So at what point, what is the common thread? between these two things. The only thing is because Sega pointed their finger at Mario and said, we are cooler than them. And that is the only connecting point between these two series. And because of that, Sonic is cursed for his entire existence. And they deserve it. They deserve it, but this is what's happening. They deserve it because they pointed fingers at Mario and they threw the first turd. Now they are forever cursed by being compared to this series that is nothing like it. And
I feel like I never
be
thought
forever
of that.
Misconstrued in what it's meant to be, because Sonic started by comparing himself to someone else.
I never thought of that, and it is so right. You're so right.
Man.
It's like the dude that was talking crap, but because they started to fumble at one point, they started getting bullied so bad, and now he's just a laughingstock. But I get what you mean. I know. Now to kind of change the subject
I can
back,
see what you mean.
Now to kind of change the subject back from that, 2020. We don't know what to expect. Nobody does. The sky is blue. But you can definitely hope that
Sonic is too.
Based off our predictions, I think we just hope it's something that has quality to it, is longer than 3 hours, and has CGI cutscenes. Honestly, just give us a decent game with the freaking production style of Sonic Unleashed.
We just want a big buck Sonic game, man.
I just want a game.
Come on, just
give
put
me
in
a
the
game.
money.
Give me something that's worth $60. I want to give you
an
money.
anniversary title.
I want to give you money, but that's pretty much it. I think we talked enough about. I don't even know. We just kind of went all over the place, but it was a great conversation. And
Yeah, it went on.
I didn't mean to step on any toes with the Mario thing. I just fundamentally they're not that similar, but they're both mascot platformers. So like, it's
and remember, like Sonic, Sonic and Mario were the two always going head to head when in the '90s and everything, because there were all these other people that were trying to compete with Mario, but they couldn't, and Sonic was the one that came along and
But it was simply because it had
he
the
met his
marketing
match
benefit.
at the time.
It had the marketing benefit of being the first one to throw shade, but that is only a temporary game.
I'll argue that back then they were a lot more similar, though. I feel like you could compare them more back then, because they were both 2D platformers that were doing similar things.
But
at its core,
to be fair, you could compare like the earliest video games that all existed within their hardware limitations. They all become comparable because there's less options available. But as
sort of,
gaming,
like, I wouldn't compare things like 2D side-scrolling beat 'em ups to like Sonic or Mario. Like, I feel like they had a lot more in common than like that Galaga or like that Pac-Man.
Why don't you guys just settle this in Smash Brothers? How about that?
Let me cue up Bowser.
Anyways, I think we covered our predictions. We covered where we stand right now. The movie, as I mentioned, is doing well. So, again, it's up in the air. We'll keep our eyes and ears open. So obviously, stay tuned to Tails channel for your official information. And stay tuned to my channel for my reactions on everything. I was
gonna plug my channel. You did it for me.
Whatever. Anyways, you mean Mardiculous? That channel that you've been neglecting?
Mondays, everybody.
Anyways, all of their stuff will be in the description. All their channels, their Twitters. Please, if you're not subscribed to them, do it. These are amazing people. And I thank you guys so much for joining me today for this discussion. And
no problem.
Just stay tuned. I'm almost at 20K, so hit that subscribe button and
unsubscribe.
Become part of that procrastination nation. I love you all, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.